Iran announces that all Iranians will receive payments equal to 1 million tomans, which equates to approximately $7 per person per month for the next 4 months to help relieve the economic pressure and resolve some of the economic sentiments that the merchants were initially bringing up when the protests had started. And if me just saying that alone didn't let you already know, I'll perhaps repeat it just to get the point across. $7 per month per person is absolutely nothing. And this really enraged the protesters and caused them to become even more violent, and it caused them to continue to grow the size of their protest after this happened. Now, you can make the case that Iran's government would have potentially paid more if they had the economic ability to do so. A lot of people, I'd been seeing certain Israeli components stating that, well, they can afford to pay their Hezbollah operatives in countries such as Lebanon up to $1,200 per month. Why could they not pay their own people? Well, I think the obvious answer there is that, first of all, with it being such a deadly job, people are going to demand a higher pay rate. And then secondly, there's roughly 90 million people in Iran, whereas there are maybe at most 100,000 Hezbollah operatives. So it's much more economically viable to pay their militant factions a large sum of money when there's so few of them, and it's nearly impossible to up the amount of money that they're paying to their own people. Nevertheless, when they come out with this statement, it completely enraged the protesters. That same day, January 5th, Qatar's Ministry of Foreign Affairs said, quote, "We are in contact with Tehran and Washington and support any dialogue to prevent further escalation, and there is still room for diplomatic and political solutions regarding Iran." Then, January 6th, Kurdistan 24, which is a news outlet, said U.S. Army Delta Force units have reportedly moved into positions along Iraq's borders with Syria and Jordan, and comes amid rising friction between Iraqi government and armed factions aligned with Iran that have refused to lay down their weapons. And this will become slightly more important with some of the updates that I will give you towards the end of this talk here. Then clashes began between merchants and security forces in the Tehran bazaar. Protesters then claimed that Iran's security forces struck Sina Hospital in Tehran, and they did that to capture the wounded and take them for imprisonment. So they were going after the people who were wounded in the protests, people that were easy targets who were in the hospital, and taking them and imprisoning them. The anti-regime protesters then took full control of the first city of Abadan near the border with Iraq. And then the same day in Tehran, after the merchant clash, Tehran's gold market fully closed. Then, January 7th, the commander of the police station in Isranshar and former head of the city's intelligence, who was responsible for cracking down on anti-regime tribes in the city, was assassinated in a drive-by shooting. And I would have liked to play this for you on here, but I thought that with this going live on YouTube that it would potentially get it taken down. There was no blood in the video, but nevertheless it was extremely violent. It was essentially a live execution, and I thought that that would be a little too far for YouTube's guidelines. And then Regram Navarum had reported that Iranian protests had increased over the past few days. This is, again, January 7th, with the highest total recorded on January 7th at 7,893 participants. But despite that increase, the number of protesters remains nowhere near 1% of the population.